This is Frankie Lynch, Saturn Girl. Like this video and subscribe to my channel. Comment below because I want to know what you think and it helps out with the algorithm. So I wanted to talk really briefly about full moons because we have a full moon happening tomorrow, July 3rd. You may be watching this before or after, but it's still interesting because I don't talk a whole lot about this, and I thought it was worth mentioning just a few things about full moons and new moons or lunations in general. So now this one in particular is a full moon, right? And the moon, as we can see over here, is in Capricorn and the sun in Cancer. So full moons are oppositions, right? So we can see that the moon here is opposite zodiacally the sun. Whereas new moons are where the sun is conjunct the moon. Remember that astrology is geocentric, so this is in relation to the earth. Assume that the earth is in the center here. So that means that the earth is between, right, the sun and the moon. And the moon is receiving the height or the zenith or the fullness of its light from the sun. The moon was said to reflect the counterfeit light, right? The light of the sun. So anyway, now the thing about full moons and new moons is they symbolically represent different things. Now, full moons are like culminations, whereas new moons are like new beginnings or planting a seed, whereas the harvest is at the full moon. So in this case, we can sort of think of new moons as times where we set things in motion, and full moons where we garner the fruits of whatever we did, for good or for ill. Now, what's really important here is to look at the houses involved. Now, people born under full moons, what we call full moon babies, they have something to prove, don't they? You know, new moon babies typically are more naive. They just burst onto the scene just doing things. But it's the full moon babies that have to make something real or make something happen. If they don't manifest something, or I hate the word manifest, but you know what I'm saying. If they don't make something real, if they can't show you something tangible that they've done, yes, I did that, they're not satisfied. They need to make something real. So now we look at the house placements to get an indication for what is entailed here. So what I encourage people to do is we set our intentions at the new moon, where we plant the seed. And then we reap the harvest of those intentions at the full moon. If you want to do a simple exercise for a particular quality, look at the whole sign house. A particular new moon is going to happen for you. If you want to work on the qualities of that house, that's a good time to set that intention. If there's a particular house or qualities you want to work on, wait till the new moon happens in that particular whole sign house for you. So, for example, in this case, the person is Aries rising and the full moon's in the 10th house. So we would be looking to reap the benefits or the fruits of what we've done regarding career or 10th house topics about life direction. So let's look at this little thing tomorrow then. Just starting with Aries, for example. If you're an Aries rising, you would be looking to beginnings. You'd be looking towards endings, rather. You'd be looking towards endings with regards to a career situation or a job situation or something that you were a life direction or something that was engrossing your attention before, something that you were known for. Well, how about Taurus, right? So this puts the moon in the 9th house of higher learning, wisdom, belief, that sort of stuff. So this could highlight, letting go of a way you believed or thought, something that doesn't serve you anymore. Well, how about the next house? So for Gemini people, that's the 8th house. Now, this is the 8th house is oftentimes the emotional clearinghouse, isn't it? It's where we process things and we deal with our fears. So it could be having to face something that you didn't want to deal with before, having to face a fear. And it suddenly just comes into your consciousness and you can't ignore it. Well, how about our Cancer rising friend? So this puts it in the 7th house here. So this would be little endings when it comes to relationships or loves or crushes or things like that. Maybe we have to let go of a feeling that we thought was very important that we realize doesn't serve us anymore. And how about Leo rising? Well, this puts the moon here in the 6th house. This has to do with enemies and injuries and illnesses. This could be having to address a personal physical injury or even emotional one. It could have to do with getting sick. It could have to do with having to face a conflict that we really didn't want to deal with. Excuse me. Well, how about our Virgo rising friends? This puts it in the 5th house now. So the 5th house is our children. This could be having to let go of certain expectations we had of our children or of a creative endeavor. Maybe something that we were working on that we had certain expectations of just didn't work out the same way. Maybe we have to let go of our own sense of perfection and let things be as they are. Sometimes we just have to not be so serious and let go of that sense of rigidity because it hems us in. Well, so for Libra rising then, that puts us in the 4th house here. This has to do with our genealogy, our roots, our parents. We could be having to let go of expectations or things that were binding us to tradition, to memories or ways of behavior. Just because someone did something that way for a long time doesn't make it right. How about for our Scorpio rising friends? So this is endings with regards to siblings and thought processes. These are ideas that are not serving us anymore. Perhaps they were preconceived notions. Perhaps they were misunderstandings we had of ourselves and our own abilities. Oftentimes, these ideas, though, keep us from seeing the bigger picture and what value people can really bring to a situation. And then we move on to our Sagittarius rising friends here. And this puts the moon in the 2nd house, where our own resources and our own possessions can show us where we are hampering or hemming ourselves in. Perhaps we recognize desires that are in fact thwarting what we really want or what we really want to do. Maybe our trifle ambitions or our needs to be right or, to be correct end up causing more friction in relationships than actually serving us in any way. Well, and then let's go to our Capricorn friends here. And this is the 1st house. So for Capricorn rising, we recognize those parts of ourselves that may be interfering with a fuller expression of who we are. It's this idea that we have to be a certain way, right? That things need to be this way in order to be correct or for us to be happy. Oftentimes we realize that our happiness is not being served by doing the things the same stupid way, right? We need to depart and try a new way. And then Aquarius rising, this is me. And this is the 12th house. There are psychological hangups here. There are hidden anxieties and hidden patterns that are causing self-sabotage. And we become aware of these things. And it's like, no, bro, we're not doing that anymore, okay? Well, how about our Pisces rising friends? Pisces, this puts the moon here in the 11th house, right? The 11th house of friends and our social networks and people who support us. So this shows us that in order to get support with the direction that we want to go, we do have to recognize where to compromise and where also to be willing to test out ideas and to try different things. Capricorn is so traditional, and we can't always be slaves to that same sense of tradition all the time, because if it worked, we wouldn't have to try new things, would we? So this is just an illustration of some of these typical little beginnings and endings that follow us around with the house placements of the full moon or the new moon. So please, if you would like to try, as we get to the next new moon situation, you could set intentions around those house topics and then offer those intentions up. Set yourself to the full moon in that same sign, however further down the road it will be, and see that as the time where you will reap those intentions. Thank you for watching till the end. I hope this is interesting. I thought it was worth saying. I do wonderful readings. You can see my information below. And remember, I love you and have a wonderful whatever you're having.